I never back down from a challenge. Well, that's definitely not true. How about I never back down from a challenge involving computer builds? I think we can roll with that. That seems more accurate. This time the challenge came from Thermaltake, who reached out recently and asked if I would be up for a build using their new case, the A700. I said, sounds good. But then they asked what I thought about using as many Thermaltake products as I possibly could, and also incorporating a full RGB gaming desk setup, including peripherals. And I'd have a day to do it. Although I'm pretty spent right now, I think I pulled it off, so let's see how it came out. Before we get started, I just want to remind you guys that I post twice a week here on the channel, so if you don't want to miss out on hardware reviews, monthly builds, how-tos, and specialty projects like this, make sure to get subscribed and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a video. I want to say thank you to Thermaltake for sending over a bunch of stuff for use in this here video today. And if you're interested in anything featured in the video, there will be links down in the description. So the main idea for what you see on the table here was to see what I could do with Thermaltake's new A700 enclosure. If you get that deja vu feeling like maybe you've seen this case somewhere before, you're not crazy. Well, I mean, you might be crazy, I don't know, but this isn't a brand new design per se. I reviewed the A500 late last year, and while I liked it and praised its aluminum construction and overall design, it did have some shortcomings. Those shortcomings are really no longer an issue with the bigger, badder A700. This is a true full tower with massive storage and cooling support, 8 expansion bays, and measurements that exceed the A500 in all 3 dimensions. It also swaps out the 4mm tempered glass panels for 5mm thick versions, despite retaining the angled 4-sided cutout pattern, and can support motherboards up to 13 inches wide. It also has a really kitted out front I/O with 2 USB 3, 2 USB 2, and a USB-C, along with power reset and audio jacks. But to be honest, it's the massive interior that interested me the most, as it allowed me to be creative with how I set up my loop. And that loop is coming courtesy of yet another Thermaltake full hardline custom water cooling kit, the CL360 Max. I've previously looked at 2 others, but this one comes with the thick boy 64mm copper radiator included in the package for maximum heat dissipating capacity. I decided to mount it to the rear wall of the case, as this allowed for the best show potential with the Ring Duo fans. Because the front case fans would be positioned as intake and you only see the back of them, I went with the Ring Trios here instead, which have the extra rear-facing loop of lighting. But speaking of RGB, it's all over the place in this build. The CPU block, all the fans, the RGB effect on the side of the radiator, and even the memory water block are all contributing to the interior lighting effect. And I know that the rainbow effect might not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fair, but I like it, and it's a nice demo for what the lighting can actually do. One of the best parts about working within the Thermaltake ecosystem is that all their fans, all their blocks, all their pumps, and all their radiators plug directly into the same controller box with one cable, meaning that you have minimal cable clutter and you can daisy chain the boxes together if you need more connectivity and you have more devices. Other than just aesthetics though, to be brutally honest, I was really surprised with how easy it was to work with the CL360 Max kit. It included everything that I needed to build the loop, which is what you want from a loop in a box, including 2 extra hard tube compression fittings so that I couldn't also include their water ramp if I wanted, which I did. So I did. I chose to vertically mount the EVGA RTX 2080 Ti here, as even though it's a full 3 slots and much of the time fat GPUs like this will be crammed right up against the side glass in a vertical configuration. Because the expansion slots on the A700 rotate, you can literally mount the GPU as close to or as far away from the motherboard as you want, leaving plenty of room for fresh air circulation. And it definitely made a real difference, as even after a half-hour Unigine heaven soak, GPU temps didn't crack 70°C. As far as tube routing goes, I had a lot of options, but I chose to do something that I don't normally feature, and that's diagonal runs. I'm not sure why I wanted to give it a try, but in most water-cooled products that I've worked on, you'll see either horizontal or vertical exclusively. Diagonal is fun too, and a little offbeat, so I don't know, what do you guys think? After I had worked out my loop design and hardware mounting situation, I turned my attention to the rest of the desk and gaming setup. For our peripherals, Thermaltake sent over two more of their new products, the Level 20 gaming mouse and the Level 20 GT Razer gaming keyboard. Why Razer, you ask? Well, Thermaltake and Razer have had a partnership for a while now, with their RGB Plus software syncing with Razer Chroma. This time we find not Cherry MX switches inside the Level 20 keyboard, but rather Razer Greens, which, if you're unfamiliar, are the functional equivalent to Cherry Blues. So they have a tactile bump and an audible click when actuated. However, I can say that I don't think the Razer switches are quite as loud as the Blues, and that's kind of a check in the win column here. The Level 20 also has some great additional features that make it super user-friendly. There are pass-throughs on the rear for not only USB, but also a headphone jack, and I can't remember the last time I saw a new keyboard with one of those. There are also dedicated media keys, including a volume roller and a mute button on the upper right-hand corner. The bottom of the Level 20 has two-way height adjustable feet in case you want no tilt, a little tilt, or a lot of tilt. And of course, what would a keyboard be in 2019 without 16.8 million colors available to choose from for your RGB lighting? The Level 20 RGB gaming mouse surprised me a little bit. Recently, I've gotten heavily into ultralight gaming mice, but I used to prefer a heavier feel in hand, and Indy has a toy right now. So I used to prefer a heavier feel in hand, and getting back to using something with a little more heft felt pretty good. For starters, the ambidextrous shape and overall size fits my hand pretty well. And there's even a little upwards lip on the right mouse button that kind of holds your middle finger in place along the edge. There are forward and back buttons on each side and a DPI switch in the center, which you can adjust up to 3200. The sensor is a Pixart 3389 and the switches are Omron rated for 50 million clicks. Overall, a really solid package. So after I put in a full day's worth of building this rig and setting up this desk setup, I figured I might as well take advantage of it as well as test out the peripherals by setting aside some time to actually play a game. After all, Thermaltake wanted a full gaming setup, might as well use it for what it was built for, right? So everything came out really great here. What do you guys think of the Level 20 gaming setup and the A700? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Thank you very much to Thermaltake for being a part of this video.